All right, Enrique, thank you so much for joining me on the Top Agent Podcast.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Pleasure's all mine. So Enrique Medellin leads PRG Real Estate, a top producing team of realtors out of San Jose, California, who are redefining traditional methods by bringing a fresh and modern approach to everyday real estate. So that's a my little quick intro, but of you. But if you want to kick things off, Enrique, just tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into real estate.
Man, yeah. Thanks for having me again. And my name's Enrique Medellin. I'm out of San Jose, California. I've been doing real estate almost 17 years. 17 years is coming up
Wow.
pretty soon. So I'll be 37 in a couple months. I started when I was around 20 years old, just to give you some context. And I started off initially in mortgages for my first few years, and started running a mortgage team at that point. And then when the market crashed and then started to shift, we started getting into a lot of foreclosures and short sales, and then traditional real estate as the market kind of came back. So today, I'm a broker, obviously, and I have a small boutique firm, and I lead a team of agents. We run our model like a team. So it's great, man. And we're on the phones every day. We're meeting, 4 or 5 days a week with the team, and just producing and helping a lot of clients at the best level possible.
Amazing. That's awesome. Congratulations. So, 17 years in, you start at 20, lead a team. How big's the team?
So right now there's like 9 of us on the team. So we've got about 9 agents, which includes sales agents, a couple ISAs, or just inside sales agents making calls and booking appointments. And then I have an assistant on the team as well that assists the team. And then I have like some offsite people like TCs and marketing people that help us out as well.
Amazing. How long have you had the firm now, the company?
So PRG stands for Paramount Realty Group. We started like in 2013. So I was always kind of underneath like other brokers, and I was still running my own kind of show underneath another broker. And eventually it just only made sense for me just to become the broker, because I was pretty much doing everything that the broker did. So I got my broker license in 2013, and then officially started PRG back then.
Amazing. Love it. Love it. All right. That's amazing. So, one thing I can see you pride yourself on are like processes and, digital marketing and just using technology to help, fuel your business. So I want to talk about some of that, but let's start with like the processes part. I know that that's spoken a lot about, by realtors and really any business because it is so important. And, this might be a fully loaded question, but what are some of the key processes in your business that you think are very important?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. To give you a little background on me is I had a lot of my success early on by just sheer hustle and grinding it out and putting in the hours, and having some good sales skills and stuff like that. Um, it wasn't until the market started shifting, and we had to kind of keep up with, other brokers and other competitors, that we realized that our faults were not having processes in place, right? If I was kind of running the show on my own, I was the top producer on my team. If I couldn't show someone else how to do the same thing that I did or duplicate it, then it would fail. So I joined a high level coaching program probably about 4.5 years ago that coaches kind of top teams around the U.S. Real Estate B School, shout out to them, and Lars Hedenborg. He's probably a good guest you'd want to have on your podcast. But
You said real
uh,
estate B school?
yeah, Real Estate B School stands for business, Real Estate
Got it.
Business School. So it's the whole business and fundamentals of running a real estate team. And from being in that coaching, I realized and learned a lot of things. Is number one, you have to have systems and processes for everything, right? You got to think of, if you want to do a high volume of business, there has to be a duplicatable process that happens every time for just about every single step in the business. So the analogy that I like to make is like, hey, if you go to McDonald's and order a Big Mac, they're not reinventing the Big Mac every single time they make it. It's a clear cut process. This is, what goes in there, how it's done, how it's packaged, and all that stuff. And it's the same thing with real estate, right? Is buying and selling real estate. Although every transaction is unique, there's probably 90% of the same processes and systems that happen every single time. So from a buyer, you do a buyer consultation. you show them homes, you write offers, you present the offer. Once it's in contract, there's a certain process that follows after that. So we've just over the years just started to build systems for everything. So I'll give you an example. Like when we meet with a new buyer, we have a clear-cut presentation that we go through. And what I've done is I've taken it a step further and I put everything on my website, and I have hidden pages on my website that my agents can access. So when they sit down with the buyer, they don't need to take a bunch of paperwork with them. They can basically jump on Zoom, pull up a page on our website, and it's a clear-cut process every single time that walks them through, buying a home. And then going with the next steps from there of solidifying the relationship with the client and then taking them through the home buying process.
I love
Another
one of the first things you said there, you start off a lot of success by like hustle and grind. And, I think a lot of people now, they try and get almost too fancy when it comes to sales and like growing a business. And like, I smiled when you said that because that's sort of like my story too. Like I single-handedly closed the first probably 500 paying clients just through cold calling and just hustle and grind. Right. So I love that. So you mentioned real estate B school, I'm sure you got so much value out of that. Like, what would you say are, like, if you had to say one or two of the most critical points that you learned from there that are still with you today?
Yeah. I definitely think probably number one is that you're only as weak or as strong as your systems, So that was probably the biggest takeaway from me. If you put me in a room with someone, I have the natural, sales skills, and I've developed skills over time to be able to talk to someone and connect with them and advise them, right, through my knowledge and experience. But if I want to do that, 500 times a year and close 500 transactions and have a team that does that with me, the holes in my process are going to be where the systems fail, right? So that big takeaway is that you're only going to be as strong or as weak as your systems. And I think that's probably the part that most real estate agents fail on, is they're good at doing one part of the business, but their brain doesn't think that way to have systems for every single thing. So, and it's not even the way my brain doesn't normally think, right? If I can go in there and just wing it and close the sale and the deal just closes, I mean, that's the path of least resistance, right? But you realize that you're always going to be capped. You're only going to reach a certain level of potential by doing it that way. So that was the big takeaway for me from that. And then the other takeaway is that to be successful, there's many ways to measure success. Measuring success in our industry is typically how many deals did you close, right? That's like, every realtor is the top 1%, right? In whatever office they're in. Like, to me, that doesn't mean jack, right? I'm the top 1%, right? In my mom's eyes. But success is measured differently. And I think we got to change the way we measure success, right? If you're only measuring success by how many deals you close or how much money you make, that's something that you're always going to be chasing. You're never going to feel fulfilled, So a big takeaway from me from our program was that it's more of a holistic approach where you're looking at your health, you're looking at your wealth, you're looking at your spirituality, most importantly in your business, you're looking at your profit margin, right? Because if you brought in $2 million, but you only walked away with 300,000, it's not a huge profit margin. And that's something that a lot of people don't look at. And then you look at all the other things, right? Like, how much money are you saving? How much time are you spending with your kids? Are you working every single weekend? So for me, when I had started having kids, my daughter's 7 and my son's 4, that was the light bulb that went off for me, is I don't want to grind forever. I want to be able to build a business that runs without me. And the only way I'm going to do that is build systems and to measure success in other ways, man. So that's a fully loaded question, man, but hopefully you got some answers.
Yeah, you killed that answer. I love that. I can totally relate as well. I mean, people define success differently, like you said, but most answers you probably will hear are, like you said, the deals and how much, commission you're making. But, there's so many granular little items that contribute to success, like you said, and I'm totally on board with that. I agree with everything you just said, for sure. So, one of the most common questions I get is about like lead generation, how to generate leads. So let's talk about that for a second. Because again, common question I hear from realtors is how to generate leads. And I know there's so many different ways and answers that work for different realtors. But I'd love to hear what you're doing and what seems to be working for you right now in terms of new lead generation.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what most people are interested in, right? It's the shiny object. How are you getting your leads? And the answer to that, man, is it really doesn't matter how you get your leads. I think you just have to understand the sales process. And this is something that I've learned, through coaching. We break it down to attract, convert, deliver, right? Whatever you do to attract leads, whether you're doing Facebook advertising, Zillow, door knocking, cold calling, those all just fall in the attract, right? So I think the main thing for advice for agents is pick something you love to do and pick something that you're going to do at a high level. If you want to door knock and you like door knocking, you like being outside, you like talking to people, like become the freaking king of door knocking. Like go super deep with that. Because I can tell you what I do, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do that at the same level.
Yeah.
So I think we got to kind of premise the whole thing before I even tell you what I do. Is you got to get
Love
that
it.
clear,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
Is do what you're going to do at a high level, right? Don't do what I do. Do what you love. But what we do, it's kind of comprised of probably three different areas. So number one is going to be sphere of influence. So friends, family, past clients. That probably amounts for about 50 to 60, probably about 60% of our business comes from friends, family, past clients. How do we get leads from our friends, family, and past clients? Social media is staying active on social media. So I post daily on social media, whether it's showing me with the team, whether it's showing a home that I just sold, whether it's showing someone, a property that I'm showing to a client, whether it's a video, a short video with educational content, whether it's just me with my kids, it's just staying top of mind with your friends and family, right? And then letting them know that you're in business. And after a while, their perception changes. We also do, send out emails regularly to our clients and our database, market updates and educational content. And then we do a couple events per year. One of our signature events is called Day at the Park. We've been doing it for 5 years straight. It's a huge barbecue outdoor activity event, right? I'm a musician. I love live music. So I have live music at every event. It's catered. We bring the kids. We have face painters, all that stuff, and
Nice.
jumpers. We raffle TVs. And those are the things that we do to stay in touch with our past clients. And then you get the phone calls. Hey, I'm looking to buy. Hey, I'm looking to sell. Hey, my cousin's looking for this. So that's number one. Number two is going to be internet leads. I kind of bundle all those just in one category. So we're partners with Zillow, Redfin, Upnest, ZBuyer. There's a few different ones that we get internet leads from. And those kind of are all one category, right? And there's a certain process to convert those at a high level. And then the last one is going to be just kind of the miscellaneous bucket, right? The open house leads, someone found this on our website, things of that sort. A referral from another agent or a lender. I put those all kind of in one miscellaneous bucket. So those are the three pillars of our business, and we just go super, super deep with those pillars.
Love that. Okay, so you said the first one, sphere of influence, accounts for about 50% of your.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 60, about 60%
Yeah.
of our business.
What would you say internet leads?
Probably about 25
Yeah.
to 30%, right? So we're at 90, then 10%. Yeah, about 10% is kind of the miscellaneous bucket,
Okay. So that's interesting. So I love everything. So social media, stay active every day. Like, do you manage your social media account yourself, or do you hire that out?
No, I do it myself, man. I'm more just documenting, instead of my process, right? So a lot of it is like the Instagram stories, just showing people what I'm doing when I'm looking at a home, because people are just watching that, right?
Yeah.
People's attention spans are really short, so they're just scrolling through stories all day. And then I intentionally post video content geared towards recruiting agents to come work with me. So I'm doing content geared towards real estate professionals and entrepreneurs, tips and stuff and advice on business. And then my other half of my content, there's more tips about buying and selling. So like your market updates, tips for buying, tips for selling a home. And that's kind of my mix, right? Documenting my day and then posting those kind of educational stuff.
Nice. And so sending emails, again, very important to nurture your leads and sphere of influence. Do you have like set times where you email, like every week, every month, or?
Yeah, so I'm doing like two emails a month, right? So like every 2 weeks, our clients and database will get an email. And one of them is going to be a market update. So every month, hey, here's what's going on in the market. And then the other email will be like, some educational stuff, right? So 2 emails a month, everyone's, on our social media. And then we're inviting them to our events every year. So between that, like we're making contact with our clients, 30 plus times a year, so they don't forget who we are.
Very good. Very cool. In the event, I'm curious, did you have it this year already, or with this whole COVID
We
situation?
didn't. This was the first, in the last 5 years, the first year we haven't had it. It was supposed to be a couple weeks ago. It's usually like mid-June. I'm sorry, mid-July. And we had to cancel it because of COVID, and we were bummed. We had people like, there's people that RSVP like 6 months, a year in advance. They're just like, hey,
Wow.
when's your day at the park event? And we just been making it bigger and bigger. We had like almost 400 people last year.
Well, I was just gonna ask. Wow, that's crazy. That's too
Yeah.
bad, man. Hopefully next year you got to make up for this year. So
Social distancing event or something, right?
something, yeah. Um, okay, so that's awesome. Thanks for breaking that down. And you said internet leads accounts for, let's call it 25 percent. You said Zillow, Redfin, a few other platforms. Like, do you
Yeah.
invest a significant amount of like money into internet leads, or how does that look?
We're probably spending on average probably anywhere between like, 5 to 8,000 a month on those.
Okay.
And some of the platforms are referral based as well, like Redfin. We're partners with Redfin, and you got to pay a referral fee to them. Some of the other platforms now are referral based. Zillow is going to be switching over to referral based pretty soon. So I'm sure our cost will go down out of pocket up front, but then on the backside, you're paying a bigger split to them. So in the long run, internet leads are kind of a means to an end for us. And I think that should be the game plan for most people, is you can use internet leads to get you business. You do a kick-ass job with those clients, and then you put them into your database and nurture them forever. And those clients now pay you, forever, right? So
Yeah.
as your database builds, your other lead sources should go down. That's what I think.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So a lot of those you mentioned are very like real estate focused platforms. Obviously, do you play around with like Google Ads or Facebook or anything like that?
I don't. We've dabbled here and there with Facebook ads and Google. I just find that they're they're probably cheaper, the cost per lead, but the quality is probably a lot not as good. So I don't want to have to talk to 100 leads to get one transaction. I'd rather pay more to Zillow and, get 20 leads and close one transaction. That's kind of my philosophy on that. But I
Yeah.
know people who do those leads at a high level. It's a longer turnaround time, right? So if you started a few years ago, now you're starting to probably that snowball effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So I love how you broke down sort of, the lead nurture part of your business, which makes a lot of sense. Do you have like a different flow with actual clients and how to nurture like your client leads? Does that make sense? Like, do you send out like cards or like little gifts or things like that?
No, it's the same thing. It's the
Same thing.
email. It's the email stuff. I've tried to make it so simple where I don't have to, come up with all these different things for different clients. Because I found that the more complicated I make it, the less likely I'm gonna do that, at 100%, right? The less likely I'm gonna do it at a high level. So think about it. If you're sending all the leads every month, I sweep our whole CRM. So all the leads that came in for that month, we're probably bringing in 200 to 300 leads in a month, right? Between different platforms.
Wow. Okay.
Every month I sweep that and I put that into the email database, right? All our past clients are in that same email database. So our clients are getting the same emails, right? They're getting a market update and they're getting an educational piece of content, right? So that serves that purpose. It just continues to
Yeah.
nurture those. And then of course the leads that we have in our CRM that are hot, I mean, we're calling those and following up with them and setting appointments and using text messages and emails to convert those. So it's just kind of that, it's just a cycle.
Yeah, love it, love it. Yeah, the 9 team members you have, like, do you train them on, like, to make sure they're updating their social media and all, doing the same thing you're doing essentially, or?
Yeah, we do things as a group, right? So what I encourage, even though we have a team structure, I strategically made my team not like my team. It's not the Enrique team. It's just the brokerage team, right? So because I want each agent to have the opportunity to create their own personal brand.
Yeah.
So what I do is I just say, hey, just copy what I do and then do it in your own form and do that to your own audience, right? So the videos, the market updates, the stuff on social media, every week when we meet, I'm giving them ideas. Hey guys, post something like this. Hey, here's a new, something new in the news. Make a video about this. Send that out to your friends and family. And it's kind of that culture we're creating where we're all putting out content on social media. And also, anytime someone closes a deal, we leverage the team as well, right? So if, let's say I close a listing, someone on my team can promote that on their
Yeah.
Instagram or their social media. No one knows that it was my listing. It's part of the team or the brokerage, right? And to their audience, it looks like, whoa, this person's on fire. So I think being able to leverage either your brokerage or the team you're on is extremely important so that you always have stuff to post.
Yeah, makes complete sense. Speaking of teams, like, how important is it to you to just find the right, team members and sales representatives? Obviously, not every realtor is the same, but what do you personally look for when looking for agents to join your team?
That's a great question. Early on when I was first starting kind of the team, it was kind of like hire whoever wanted to work with us, and I'm sure a
Yeah,
lot of people go through that. But after going through coaching and kind of going through a lot of trial and error, you quickly realize that if you hire the wrong type of person in the beginning, you're just going to waste a lot of time. So my process is very different now, where I'm more hiring for culture and I'm more hiring for patterns versus potential. So what I do now is I actually have a multi-step hiring approach. So the first thing, when I connect with an agent, whether it's through social media, whether it's through my email campaigns, whether it's through, I got some ads like on Indeed and stuff like that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look them up online. I'm going to look them up on social media. I'm going to see, hey, is this person active? Does this person kind of fit the role or the look and feel that we're kind of going for? Um, and then what I'll do is I'll schedule a phone call with them. So it's just an initial exploration phone call, 15, 20 minutes. How do they sound on the phone? What are some of their values? What are some of the things they're looking for? And I can quickly know, all right, this person is speaking the right language or this person is completely not speaking the right language, right? So if they pass that kind of filter, the next thing I do is I invite them in to join us for one of our team meetings. I want them to come into the office. I want them to meet the other agents, and I want to see how they interact with our group and our team. And I want to see what my team thinks about them as well, because they'll give me their feedback right away. Oh, hey, that person that came in, they seem pretty good, or that person, nah, you could tell they just weren't going to vibe. Because it's important to have the culture in your office and your team, right? Is especially when you have a small group, is one bad apple can tarnish the whole bunch, so to say, right? So um, if they come in, they pass that first screening, they come in, they like our meeting, I'll usually sit them down one-on-one, go through I have a presentation that I go through, and then I'll tell them, hey, go think about it. Call me back if this is something you think you might be interested in. And that seemed to work pretty well, because I'll get some people that call back like, dude, I love what you guys are about. And I'll get some people that they don't call back. Um, I don't ever want to force someone to be on my team, right? I want them to see the value. And we've done a good job now of articulating our value proposition to agents. So usually when they call back, it's because, all right, this is something that they'd want to get into.
yeah.
And then we do a final interview after that. I'll have my business partner interview them, so he can get, they can get his perspective, and then we make a determination if we want to bring them on.
Love it, love it. We have a lot in different businesses, but a lot of similarities here, even with our hiring approach. It's true. As much as you're looking for someone with the great skills to do the job well, I mean, for me personally, it's more about, like, culture, and are they going to be cohesive with the rest of the team and get along with the other team members, and just add to the just the overall culture of the teams. You can't build a great company without having an amazing cohesive team behind you or beside you. So that's very important. Um, Perfect.
Part of
Switching.
that, sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry to
yeah.
cut you off real quick, but part of that is also developing a set of core values. So we have a set of core values that we look for in agents. And I think the mistake a lot of people make when they build a team is that they don't establish up front exactly what the vision is and what the core values are. Because if you establish all of that up front and you stick to that, then you're never going to deviate from who you're looking for, right? You're always going to say, hey, do they fit these 5 core values? So we have a set of core values that we follow. And it's real easy now to say, hey, does this person fit all these 5, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe do they fit four out of the 5, and maybe they can groom into that last one and then go from there. So I think that's a good pointer, is just to make sure you have a clear cut vision of what you're trying to build,
Yeah,
take it from
totally
there.
agree. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So just want to switch gears a little bit. So, we covered a lot of like nurturing leads, generating leads, which is very important, but it's sort of like half the story. It's probably more important is actually executing and delivering on the service, and actually providing real value to your client. So what makes PRG like different and stand out and just be able to provide that superior level of service to your clients?
Yeah, it's a great question. And that's something that we've worked on over time to really just be clear on our value proposition. So I would say number one is that we do run our business like a team. So you're not fully relying on one agent trying to wear a bunch of hats. My sales agents, they have a certain role, right? To consult the client, to help get them in contract, to advise them. Once it's in contract, it goes over to our back end, right? Our back end processing. So we have a full-time client care coordinator who is there to answer any questions, handle paperwork, help, with inspections, disclosures, all those different things. And then we have our TC as well, who is there they work hand in hand to make sure the file is moving along, timelines are being met, all those different things. So the client upfront, when we meet with the client, we're presenting our process in that way. Like, we're letting them know right off the bat, hey, you're not only going to work with me, you're going to work with me, you're going to work with my showing assistant, our client care coordinator, our transaction coordinator. And between all of us, we're going to have specialty, there's a specialized role for each part of the process there, and you're going to get the highest level of service. So it takes some of the workload off of my agent, and it ensures that there's a consistent level of service with every single client. And that's the downfall with a lot of the big brokerages, right? Is you have, thousands of agents all doing it different. So if you go to one agent at Keller Williams and you go to another agent, you're going to get a totally different experience. With us, everything is managed by this process in the system, so it's a consistent experience. We have over 300 5-star reviews online, and it's because we've taken the time to implement those systems and do those things. So I would say that's probably our number one value proposition. The other proposition is we have a mortgage side as well. So my business partner is a mortgage broker. So we have the option to give people financing on that side, and work cohesively with them as well to have a smoother process. And then I also have a real estate development and construction background. So my partner and I, we invest in a lot of properties. We've done over 75 fix and flips since
Wow.
2010. So when I meet with clients, and also when I'm coaching my agents, I'm able to give them, how much does it cost to put floors in? How much does it cost to redo your kitchen? If you knock down that wall, what are you looking at? What do permits look like? So that's a huge value that I bring to our agents and our clients, is that they have that, that knowledge at their disposal. A lot of clients want to know, hey, how much is it going to cost if I got to replace my windows? So
Yeah.
if we can give them a quick ballpark answer and they can make a decision whether to buy that home or not, I think that's a huge plus. So those are just probably, some of the values that we bring to the
Yeah.
table.
No, that's huge. That's amazing. That's awesome. Can I ask or if you want to give a range, like how many transactions you do in an average year?
Yeah. So yes, last year was, we've been building right over the last few years. And I've been slowly shifting out of production and just more focused on building the team. So last year it was myself and like three other agents. We did like 75 transactions.
Wow. Okay.
Um, in our market, I guess that's pretty good because it's pretty competitive out here. Um, whenever I talk about transaction, I'm always like, to me, it's not that many because, like in my coaching program, my coach does like 300 plus transactions in a year, and they're in
Yeah.
North Carolina, but it's in the Bay Area. I guess it's a little bit different, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit harder.
No, yeah.
So in the last 3 to 6 months, we've you know recruited some more team members, and we're ramping them up. So we're hoping to be able to break that like 100 transaction mark, pretty soon.
Amazing.
Um,
That's huge. That's great.
right. So we probably did like 60 million in volume last year. This year we hope to surpass that, and then we have our mortgage side that does a lot of business, and then we have our investment side where we're buying, rental properties and flip projects as well.
That's huge. Yeah. So we're recording this mid-August. I've been speaking to a lot of realtors from not only here in Canada but like all over the U.S. talking about how hot their markets are. Are you seeing the same thing in San Jose?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy right now. When COVID hit, everything came to like a stop, right? So like April, May was slow, super slow for us. We were behind, schedule from our production level. But I would say June, July, and now in August, it's just completely turned around. We're super, super busy. In the last 30 days, we've gotten over 300 leads that came in, which is probably the highest that we've had, all year. So
Mhm.
we're super swamped right now, man. We're signing a lot of clients. So I'm hoping in the second half of the year, we're going to be able to make up for what we lost in the
Oh,
first half
for
of the
sure.
year,
That's
right? That,
by
or
the
at least
sounds
come
of it.
close to
Yeah.
where we're at.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah.
Any trends like where are these trends like buyers or sellers? Like, are they moving out of? I've been hearing a lot of people like moving out of cities or like what's the trend, if any, where you are?
Where we're at, I mean, San Jose is mostly, we have downtown, but it's not like San Francisco where there's a lot of like condos and high rises as many. So it's a lot of suburban areas. So the
Mm,
San Jose market is definitely, still really hot. Condos have taken a bit of a hit just because if you can pay a little bit more and buy a house, it's like
yeah.
people are buying a house, especially with the low interest rates. So we're seeing that. But I would say places like San Francisco, where people were paying a crazy amount just to live in the city, to work there. Now that you can work from home, that San Francisco market has taken a huge hit because it is all, city pretty much.
Yeah.
So people are moving out, across the bay to like Oakland, where they can buy a home for half the price and work from home now. So those
Mm,
areas are filling it. San
interesting.
Jose, we're definitely hot. We're seeing like 20 to 30 offers on properties right now.
Wow. That's
It's
crazy.
it's
Wow. So
crazy.
nuts. Speaking about again, switching gears just a little bit, technology in real estate. Like, how do you see technology changing the way you're going to conduct your business in like the next 5 to 10 years?
I think I haven't seen, because I've been in it for so long, I think it's always gradually kind of changed and evolved. I mean, right now, like you see, we're on Zoom right now. So we're doing 90% of our stuff from Zoom, from our team
Mm,
meetings, from our client consultations, things of that sort. It's all on Zoom. The way people buy and sell homes are different, right? Because everyone has access to all the information on the internet. So just understanding that people are going to click on a property online, they're going to want to see that property right off the bat, and then they probably most likely won't buy that property, and you got to show them value and take them somewhere else. But I would say, to me, a lot of the core fundamentals are the same. It's like clients, whether you're speaking to them on Zoom or in person, you still have to display value. You have to know your stuff. You have to have a track record. You have to have credibility. And the most importantly is you have to be able to connect with them. You have to be able to build trust with somebody. So I'm not really worried about technology. I don't think that's really crippling us. Some of the ways technology has made our life easier is like our CRM does auto text, auto email. We have a lot of campaigns that we've built where it does a lot of the heavy lifting for us to cover volume of leads. But other than that, I mean, it's just everything's text, everything's email. It's nothing like
Yeah.
rocket science to me.
I agree. I don't think technology will take away that personable aspect to real estate and handling with clients, because it is such a, you know, a big emotional transaction for most people, right? And I think that's gonna be tough for technology to get away from. So
And I think what you got to remember is that there's a flavor for everybody, right? There's the
yeah,
reason people shop at Walmart. You have some people that shop at Walmart, some people that will never step foot into Walmart. Some people that go to Macy's, even though Macy's is shutting down, right? Some people that go to Nordstrom's because they want that service. So I think as an agent or as a business, you have to pick the lane that you're going to go in, right? If you're trying to be like everyone and you're trying to switch your commissions all the time or switch your value proposition all the time,
yeah,
just stay in your lane. Like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the Nordstrom, or do you want to be the discount broker? And whatever you pick, like, be the best in that, and I think there's going to be a slice of the pie for everyone. There's clients who gravitate towards different things, and it's, don't try to reinvent the wheel every single time.
I agree. I totally agree. You mentioned like your CRM, for example. Like, what do you look for when deciding which tools or apps to use in your business?
um Simplicity, right? Is it easy to use? Is it user friendly? Even though I can probably figure a lot of things out because that's just the way my mind works. But if I'm trying to teach 10 agents how to use this thing, is it going to be easy for them to use, right?
Yeah,
Because it doesn't matter what tool or what CRM you use, it's the one that you use the most and that you go deep on. So that's something that I've realized. So I look at that. Of course, I look at, features versus cost analysis, right? Some of these CRMs have all these bells and whistles, but you don't even use all those bells and whistles,
yeah, exactly.
right? So if unless you're going to use them all at a high level, to me, they're useless. I'm not going to pay a lot more for something that I'm not going to use. Our CRM Firepoint that we use, the cost is pretty cheap. It does a lot. It has the basic functions that we need, and we use it at a high level. So that kind of serves the purpose there. Um, I was of the mindset before where I was trying all these different things and dabbling, and then later on you realize, like, man, you wasted a lot of time trying all these different things and a lot of money. Pick the 2 or 3 things that you're going to do at a high level and just go deep with those things, and don't
Yeah.
make it complicated.
Yeah, it's true. I see, I'm obviously like in that business, and you're right about the simplicity and like all these, a lot of companies and apps, they use like, keywords and like features to like boost up what they're offering, when in fact, as you said, like, a lot of times they're kind of pointless, or no one really uses them, but they sound like cool, right? So yeah, that's a good point. um Look, Enrique, I do want to be mindful of your time here. Just looking at the clock, I do end off each episode with what I call the top 3. You ready?
Go for it.
Some heavy hitters here. So I'm kidding. Number 1, your favorite real estate or business book?
My favorite real estate or business book, a big game changer is probably, it's not necessarily real estate, but it's just business, is the E-Myth.
Yeah.
The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, which is just all about systems and being able to think of your businesses as if you're going to do 10,000 transactions versus just a handful.
Yeah.
That one, I think, it's a big eye opener on how to run a business. Another one just off the top, like Ryan Serhant's book, I forgot the name of it, but he talks about his whole story. That one was pretty cool. It was entertaining, and there's a lot of golden nuggets in that one. I like that one. That one
Nice.
stands
Awesome.
out. I mean, there's so many, man. There's so
Yeah.
many to just pick but I think E-Myth. I think every business person should read E-Myth, and I think Profit First is another book. Knowing how to manage your taxes and stuff like that. A lot of people get into tax trouble because they don't put money away.
Yeah.
I think those are 2 like fundamentals for just any business entrepreneur.
Love it. Love it. Perfect. Second, your favorite vacation spot. And vacation sort of a foresight these days, but favorite vacation spot.
Um, I've traveled to, a few places, not as many as I would like to. I still have stuff on my bucket list, but the one that I went to recently, I went like end of 2018, was to Cartagena, Colombia. So
Okay.
that's just a beautiful, beautiful
Nice.
city, man. It's just
Nice.
you got the new school on one side, it's like Miami, and then you got the old world, the old city, where you have all these like just boutique and rustic buildings that they've turned them into hotels, and
Amazing.
it's a beautiful place, man.
Awesome. Amazing. And last but not least, if you can go back, what's the one thing you wish you knew when you were just starting out in business?
Ooh, that's a good one, man. What's the one thing I wish I knew? Uh, I would say, I would say, not something that someone told me a long time ago was, and this holds true, and I've realized it later on, is that not to get too high on the highs and too low on the lows. Things are going to happen in business. There's ups and downs, and I think a lot of times we get caught up in comparing ourselves to people. You see
Yeah.
someone else doing great or whatever, and you instantly think that that person is successful or that person has made it, but you have no idea what they've gone through to get to where they're at. You have no idea what it's like when they're at home, what they feel like inside, the stories they tell themselves in their mind. So I would say is, don't compare yourself to people. Um, ride the journey, man. Learn from everything. Learn from every failure is a lesson in disguise. And a big thing is be yourself. Be yourself. Figure out what you're good at. Double down on that, and just be yourself. Because everyone else is taken, man. There's only one you, and if you just be yourself and let your value show, you're gonna attract the people who see that value, right? Versus trying to be someone else or trying to be like that other realtor who's, you think you should dress like them or talk like them. People will quickly realize that that's not you, right? So I encourage everyone on my team to just bring their individuality to the table, and that uniqueness is what's going to make you good, man.
Love it. That's a perfect message, perfect way to end this. Enrique, thank you so much, man. I had a pleasure speaking with you. I'm glad we were able to connect. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a ton of value from listening to this. So thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is great. Yeah, if you guys follow me on
I was going to
Instagram,
say, yeah, if
yeah,
someone wants to follow you or find you, where's the best place to do so?
probably Instagram, at the underscore Enrique underscore Medellin. You could drop it in the comments or whatever. My website, enriquemedellin.com. I put all my videos, all my content on there. So follow me on there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Enrique. We should do this again sometime. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.